and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to look at a city program that not very many people are familiar with. It's the Citizens Unity Commission. And I have as my guest their Executive Director, Michele Woods-Jones.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And the current chairperson, Pat Leary.
Good morning.
Thank you. So tell me in a nutshell what the commission is. And it's a little bit of a hybrid in that you are a staff member, but the members of the commission are really volunteers. It's a citizen-led effort with some staff support. Tell me how that works, Michele.
Well, what a lot of people don't understand is that the Citizens Unity Commission is really made up of three groups of citizens who look at the issue of diversity and inclusion from very specific perspectives. The Citizens Unity Commission is made up of citizens of Hampton who work together to look at programs and activities and opportunities to bring people together, to develop relationships, to create tools and opportunities for being able to problem solve collectively across their differences. We also have what is new, the SEAC, and it's only new because of its new name. It used to be called, from its origin, the Ad Hoc Leadership Group.
But talk about a group that flew under the radar. I mean, very few people knew they existed, really.
Yes. Well, you see, they were focused on being reactive. So once an issue had occurred, then they would be convened. They've expanded to be more interventive, as well as to help the council understand those conflicting issues or areas of concern that citizens have. And the SEAC stands for the Citizens Engagement Advisory Commission. And the third group is made up of our young people. We have a youth advisory group made up of 15 young people who advise not only the adults in terms of the work that is done, but they also serve as an educational arm for other young people in our schools and in our wider community.
So these citizen groups, what do they do? Pat, what do you do, for example?
Well, the Unity Commission, we meet on a monthly basis and have projects that we're working on. For example, we sponsored a table at the Children's Festival that was hosted in May in downtown Hampton as an opportunity for outreach. We have a variety of educational programs that we offer. Michele facilitates the Diversity College, and there are a lot of opportunities for people just to learn more about who we are as people and how we can interact together. And so our role is to look for opportunities to get our message out in as many ways as we can. We've sponsored some book clubs. We recently had a fabulous movie and a mic night at the Cinebistro in Peninsula Town Center, where we brought together a wide variety of people. The theater was just packed, and watched the movie 42 on Jackie Robinson, and then had great discussion afterwards about what that movie meant to each one of us. So just looking for opportunities to educate others about diversity and what that means.
Well, now let's talk about what diversity means, because I think there will be some people out there who believe this is a race issue. This is about understanding Black people and white people. And my sense is you guys define it as much, and it may have started largely in that frame of race relations and difficulties, but it's a much broader look now, isn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, it's an issue about the quality of life. And if you look at the city of Hampton, it is far less black and white. It is becoming more and more colored, if you will. We have citizens of Asian backgrounds, Spanish-speaking backgrounds, East Indians, etc. So we have become a far more diverse community. In that diversity, we are not only different, but in many ways we are the same. We're the same in terms of all having a faith in some kinds of ways, generally. But that faith may be that we're Buddhist, we may be Muslim, we may be Hindu, We have a variety of different religions beyond what is traditional, and those are the Christian religions. And so it allows us, for example, this whole look at diversity that also includes the differences in our ages, young people, older people, differences in our life experiences, differences in how we manage work, because we have a number of people who take our courses, which, by the way, I'm very proud to tell you are some of the most extensive courses in diversity and inclusion in our area. And they're free of charge because we believe that individuals need tools. It's not just enough to say, let's all be nice to each other, but how can we learn more effectively about our differences, that wide spectrum of differences that fall under the rubric of diversity, and how can we learn that in ways that enable us to relate more effectively and problem solve collectively.
Well, and that's, there will be some people, and every year there's a budget survey about funding the Citizens Unity Commission, and every year it struggles. I mean,
Yes, it
draws a lot of negative comments. People either don't understand it or don't want their tax dollars to be used, or think it's all about political correctness. I mean, why, in a very concrete way, does it matter that we understand each other's perspectives?
That's a very good question, and I think it's a pertinent one because we come to this issue every year. We have talked about this, and I'm absolutely convinced, in concert with our commissioners, that for those people who have had an experience, if you will, with the CUC, their evaluations are off the chart. Where we have failed, and I'm going to acknowledge that, is that we have not been able to reach larger numbers of our citizens so they don't feel that they're impacted by it. And it's like a bank account. All right, you've got a savings account. If you don't invest in it and then you have some kind of emergency happen, you don't have anything to back you up, to hold you up. And so sometimes it's difficult to see the advantages of investing in how people relate. We can have all the fancy buildings, we can have all of the wonderful recruitment activities, but as people move to our community, if we don't have the facility to communicate effectively, to problem solve together, to plan together, and to be sensitive to each other's differences and similarities, we won't be able to attract people who want to raise their children here. How you relate to your neighbors, to the people who are in your business community, to your educational experiences matters, because that's all we have as human beings, is our ability to relate to each other effectively so that the end results are positive and we have a community that is harmonious and is well equipped to handle those things that are very different from their own experiences.
And sort of in a self-serving way, I know that when I've been to diversity kinds of trainings in the past, it's been through the company I worked for, and part of it is it helps you be a more effective manager or leader or neighbor when you can relate to someone.
Absolutely.
better.
We aren't born with the facility and ability to be able to relate to a wide array of individuals. And one of the things that stifles individuals, and they think that we're only talking about race and gender, is that there is a lack of information, a lack of opportunity to be educated about the breadth of diversity and how it really does impact our everyday life. My ability to just communicate with you effectively. Words mean different things to different people. So the way I approach you and my sensitivity of being able to listen and to be familiar with the various options that I have to connect with you is all a part of my tool set to be able to be effective with a wide variety of different people.
So tell me a little bit about a diversity college, for example. Who signs up for that, and what kind of experience is it? What did they learn? Or maybe tell a story of an experience you've seen or witnessed at one of those meetings.
It's very interesting. The answer to that question is a very diverse group of people. From stay-at-home parents to business individuals who want to be more effective with their clients and customers who come to their stores and services. We have educators who take the course, which is why we not only have an afternoon class, we also have evening classes. And it is a 9-week course. that enables individuals to see what the dimensions and layers of diversity actually are. Talks about how to be inclusive, ways in which we question our own assumptions, isms that we have are all learned. We aren't born with them. And so it's an opportunity to explore those assumptions. It's an opportunity to expand your horizons about, well, what really are East Indians like? I've never had an experience with them. I don't know what they eat. I don't know what they value. I don't know how they worship, etc. So you have an opportunity to explore religious diversity, for example. So I think the people who take the class in themselves become a little microcosm, if you will, of the diversity of our community. And they get to not only learn tools, but try them out with one another. So we've had an extraordinarily rich history over the last 20 years of perfecting our classes, and redefining our approaches. And I think I won't be snotty and say we have the best in the world, but I will tell you accurately close to
so
it.
It's very close.
Well, and I do know that we've been an example and that a lot of other communities have modeled programs,
Yes.
And you and your predecessor have consulted with other communities. And a lot of times these things come up from a problem. So a community has a problem of perception where they're not in touch with a group of their residents with a particular background. And a lot of times it's race, but not always. And so when a problem arises, there's a reaction to it. But not that we don't have problems, we do. Every community has problems, but we haven't had a big major issue in a while.
And I would argue that a part of that has been the various and sundry activities and programs that the Citizens Unity Commission has quietly been involved in. What we must do so that we don't have to adhere to a budget process that says, who are you?
Every year, right?
Every year, is to be far more expansive, to look at the larger populations of individuals that we can actively touch and interact with, which is why we've had a very successful year with the Circles of Diversity, which has brought together Catholics and Protestants to talk together about the similarities and differences of their faith walk and to get to know each other. Well, those are whole congregations. The film that was filled, that Dr. Leary mentioned, that was filled with all kinds of people, the military, they were there, and it was just a magnificent experience at which many individuals had not experienced before. And as I said, whenever we have found that someone has had an experience with one of the programs, etc., the evaluations are off the charts. So we have a job to do to make sure that we impact the lives of more of our citizens so they don't say they don't know about us.
Well, and that's wonderful because the Diversity College program, as wonderful as it is a big time commitment.
Yes.
And you can only have that experience with a limited number of people at a time.
Which is why we're going to be doing more neighborhood outreach, so that we will do many, M-I-N-I, introductory trainings in the various neighborhoods, et cetera, to whet the palates of our citizens. And a wider number of them will understand what diversity is and isn't and how it relates to their day-to-day lives.
That's great. And Pat, why don't you talk about what personally spurred you to become involved?
Sure, that's a great question. You know, I've lived
We
in,
also haven't said what you do in your day job, which you might want to mention.
Sure. Well, and you know, as a resident of Hampton, I feel passionate about the city. I have been here for 32 years now, and came here with the intent of just staying a couple of years and then moving on to the big city. I came from outside of DC, but fell in love with this area. And so my day job, I work for Hampton City Schools, and so I'm intimately involved with children and adults in a variety of ways and love that work. And several years ago, I felt that there was just another piece missing that I could contribute. And so I looked on the city's website to see what might, you know, be interesting to me. And this was the first thing that popped up at me. And I thought, you know, it's about people, which I love. Mm-hmm. And it's about filling what I think is a need in the city that I felt like I had something to offer. I had taken several courses in the past and was just very interested in the topic, and The first time I met with the director at the time, Mr. Johnson, he was just so passionate about the work. It was infectious. And I said, I want to be a part of this. And so that's what brought me to the Unity Commission, and I have loved the work with the people that are involved. And the direction that we're going in, I think, is right on target with what we need here in Hampton. I love the fact that we have the youth re-engaged in our work, and I think it's going to be an exciting time for all of us.
Well, I think that's so important right now, and when you look at what the differences in the community are, there are a lot of generational differences right now, and today's youth are very different than we were when we were that age, and managing people, the Gen X, the Gen Y, all of the different variations of those patterns that change based on the Depression, people in the World War II generation. We're all very different, shaped by those events in our lives.
Right. And for the first time, I think, in the history of the American workforce, we have 4 generations represented. And so how they communicate, the differences between seniors' experiences with technology and the millennium's experiences with technology is like night and day. The way in which we problem solve, the way in which we relate, how the judgments that we make about certain values. You need to be busy, 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 as opposed to the view of someone, look, if I can be productive, get it done in a quick minute, why do I need to keep being busy? And so we find ourselves within the work environment in particular sort of pointing fingers at each other's behavior and drawing conclusions about the values that each other holds. And so one of the things that diversity helps us to understand is how we're shaped, how our lenses are created in the way in which we interpret our world and our reality. And it's often very, very different.
And so the things that might affect that lens would be gender, age, race, religion, sexual orientation, location of where you grew up or at formative
the kind of family
stages.
structure. Were you raised by your grandparents versus very young parents? Are you from a family that is large, where you are the oldest with lots of responsibilities, or the middle that no one seems to pay attention to? All of these things determine who we are. We are the full, total combination of our life experiences, and that's what makes each of us very uniquely different. And we help people to understand that all of anybody is not the same. All women, all African American, all old people. Right. That are within themselves highly diverse. And so the complexities of the human nature and the ways in which we live our lives and our expectations and assumptions are all driven by our experiences.
Okay, so if I'm sitting out there and I'm thinking, this sounds a little bit intriguing, how can I get more information? What's the best way?
Easy, easy, easy. You can, if you don't have a computer, you can go to the library, just look us up on the city webpage.
Right. And that's hampton.gov/CUC, or you can look under boards and commissions.
Yes, and there you will be able to access an application to apply for the course. Information about the courses are on there. And or you can drop by our office, which is on the 7th floor of City Hall, and we're right there and have someone there to help you and get an application to you.
All right, and you can also call 311 for more information, and they'll tell you what programs are coming up.
Yes. So we look forward, and I want to invite all of our citizens to take a look.
That sounds great. And we will rerun this program and put up little boards when you have something coming up so people can see. They can also watch Channel 47, and we'll make sure that your events and classes are listed there as well.
And especially our Unity Awards that are coming up in September.
Oh, great.
If citizens out there know of individuals or organizations that have been particularly sensitive to bringing people together and developing tools and in relationship building, recommend them.
Because you also like to recognize good work that is going on in the community.
Yes, and by the way, our chairperson is also the chair of our Unity Awards subcommittee.
Okay, great.
So we're seeking opportunities to recognize folks who've just done great work in our city, and they're out there. We know they are.
Yeah, they are. Okay, well, thank you, Michele, and thank you, Pat, for coming by and telling us a little bit more about what it is you do.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for having us.
And thank you. I hope you've become a little bit intrigued by the idea of diversity and learning more about how to relate to other people. And there'll be some great programs you can follow up with. Thank you for watching.